nightmare logic, the boys go out to save a young hunter, Maggie, who is kidnapped by what seems to be a ghoul, but when the boys arrive at the place where she was supposedly kidnapped, they are baffled by the confusing hints they find that don't correspond to the lore they knew all their lives about how monsters behave. When I first saw the promo of the episode about a week ago, I immediately guessed it would be a mythology episode and specifically related to Michael's super monsters, despite the promo making it seem like a standard classic Monsters of the Week Supernatural episode. It basically turned out exactly how I thought it would be, except it exceeded my expectations in how it was executed and how it was written. To be fair, I had very low expectations for this episode, as I do with basically all mythology episodes after season 7, so I guess it's still something to celebrate. The setting and suspense element of the episode of the boys not able to clearly tell who the monster is in a creepy mansion really reminded me of one of my favorite episodes of my other favorite show, The X-Files, the best paranormal show ever that actually inspired Supernatural. The episode I mean is called Alone, which is episode 19 of season 8 of The X-Files. The plot of that episode involves a mysterious creature that kidnaps people in a creepy mansion, and whoever is running that mansion seems like a perfectly normal human, although a bit creepy. In nightmare logic, the similarity is uncanny, with the idea of the creepy mansion with someone who looks perfectly normal taking care of it, but still gives that creepy vibe. That someone is the nurse character who turns out to be the Djinn. In both episodes, there is also a character of an old man who can barely move. Too many similarities for it to be a coincidence, particularly because Supernatural is clearly inspired by the X-Files, which is admitted by the creators and cast since the show's inception. So aside from that obvious similarity I noticed right away, I like the vibes you went with because of that suspense element that is very close to the great episode of X-Files, although it pales in comparison overall. I didn't like the element of shoving Mary and Bobby in this case, how they beat the boys with a case which ends up causing more drama between all four characters eventually. Like Bobby blaming Sam for what happened to Maggie, how Mary discusses her love life with Sam, particularly with the new Bobby. It all felt like unnecessary awkward drama that did not need to be in this episode. Another episode this one seems to be throwing back to is actually a previous Supernatural episode in season 3 called Dream a Little Dream of Me, which is episode 10 in that season. Ironically, that episode also echoed another episode from the X-Files with a very similar premise, of a man who couldn't sleep due to some experiment done on him in the military, and he's able to basically reshape reality and make people's nightmares come true in real life. All four of those episodes are clearly inspired by Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street series, so the inspiration cycle carries on, I guess. Of course, as I expected, the episode isn't really about the Monsters of the episode, as it should be if it was a Monsters of the Week episode. It's about the drama of the characters I mentioned, including Dean's continuous struggle with his post-Michael possession, and his guilt over the bad things Michael did using his body. When Dean finds out the monster of the episode at the end, he is given exposition on Michael's plan of superpowering monsters to hunt hunters, but also more doubt about what is really going on in his head. When the Djinn tries to read Dean's fears and nightmares, he is shocked and terrified of what he sees, momentarily frozen basically, which allows Dean to get the upper hand on him and basically smash him to the ground and shoot his head off without needing a special blade covered in any poor lamb's blood as they typically use. They really don't need to murder any innocent animals in order to hunt monsters, since he clearly can kill them all in other ways. At the end of the episode, Bobby and Mary decide to go on a romantic vacation to Donna's cabin in the woods to solidify their relationship, and I'm glad they left, as this means less crowd around the boys now. Hopefully Apocalypse World hunters Jack and Cass next, so we can get back to the good old episodes with just the boys again. Dean is still being very dramatic about his struggle with the aftermath of Michael's possession of him. Sam comforts him as usual. Eventually killing Michael will be the only thing that will truly satisfy him. Despite my issues with episodes like this that mixes the classic Monsters of the Week premise with the heavy mythological drama, this was one of the better ones, I believe. It had good suspense, nice setting, creepy dark lighting throughout, and great outdoor shots in nature, which is something we rarely see on Supernatural anymore, as we are usually stuck with boring indoor locations. As usual, the acting from the main two stars is always on point. Their chemistry makes any episode better than its actual writing. I wasn't a big fan of Bobby-Mary dynamic, that seems really forced, especially considering that one was dead for 30 plus years, so it is still kind of a new character to us. as far as Mary goes, and the other is not really the Bobby we know, so we can't really connect to him in the same way as original Bobby, and neither can the boys. So overall I think it was a good episode compared to other mythology driven episodes. Of course I will always prefer pure Monsters of the Week classic supernatural episodes with just the boys, but this wasn't a terrible attempt. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, subscribe for more awesome supernatural content. Till next time, as always, no chick flick moments.
Awesome. That's awesome.
You're awesome.